Take two.
Okay, so today we will have an interview with a deaf artist, Emily Akerman. She is here with me. So, February 25th is the International Cochlear Implant Day, and we want to talk with lovely Emily, the deaf artist, and listen to her today. Okay, so be with us with this exciting interview. Okay, this interview series name is Echoes of Inspiration, and this one is about International Cochlear Implant Day special issue. Yeah, Emily has cochlear implant. She wears 2 cochlear implant or 1?
Just one.
1. Okay.
That's a long story.
Oh, long story. Okay, so we will listen about it. So Emily, we want to talk with you about your journey. Can you share a bit about your hearing journey and what receiving a cochlear implant meant to you in your life?
Hi, well, first of all, I'm just very happy to be here. Thank you, Geeta, for having me. It is a very important way to honor Cochlear Implant Day. So when my parents had my brother, and my brother is also deaf, he was first born. When he was born, my parents didn't think anything of him. He was a happy, normal child until they were cooking in the kitchen and my mom pulled out on the top shelf a bunch of pots and pans, missed one handle, and they all fell. And it was the biggest sound, apparently, and she did not react. He just did not react. And so my mother was like, there's something wrong. We gotta go check him out. And so when they checked him out, they diagnosed him deaf. And then, my mom was already pregnant at the time with him. With me, sorry. She's already born. And that was a couple months later, and then they just knew to give me a hearing test. And then I was also profoundly deaf. So the way that my parents, it was like the way that our genetics kind of formed. It gave us beauty, it gave us brains, but it didn't give us hearing. So my brother and I, we don't know necessarily why we were both deaf, but technology is so different now 20 years later. If we did the testing now, we would probably figure out how. I don't know if my child's going to be deaf, so that would be important. So because my brother and I, we were the first diagnosed deaf people in our family, they talked to the doctors and they said, let's give them cochlear implants because it would be the best thing to do. However, my brother and I, we found out that we have a Modini malformation. So that's Modini, Modini. And that means that the cochlea, instead of it being at a regular snail shape, instead it's a little all over the place. So we were actually in communication with Sick Kids Hospital at the time in 2000, and my brother and I, we were the first case studies to get a cochlear implant with that malformation to see whether or not it would succeed.
Wow.
So if you look up at Life's Little Miracles on YouTube and with my name, Emily Akerman, Emily's Chance to Hear, you will see a video of me as a baby getting a cochlear implant.
Wow.
It's really cool. I will send you the link. Really cool video. I'm so cute. I just can't get over how cute I am. I'm just going, no. Anyways, I'm still cute. It's really nice. What a cochlear implant means to me. So I will tell you this. At the time, it meant belonging. It meant being part of your hearing family. It meant being integrated into a hearing world. However, I will have to tell you, what does it mean to me? That is interchanging all the time. Based on new experiences, based on different identities, based on just how I identify myself and how I can make an impact and exist now. So while it has been incredibly impacting and beneficial in the sense that it gave me opportunities. It gave me access to music, access to conversations, access to laughter, access to tears, to all of those. It also helped me be aware of also what I was missing.
Great, Emily. Actually, I love Emily. She's wonderful. So, Emily, was there a moment when you truly embraced your uniqueness and felt proud of your journey?
So that's a really good question. I will say that one thing that I was very honored and proud of what my mom let me be a part of, what she kind of like made me, was some speech competitions for the deaf and hard of hearing. It was kind of like competitions for deaf and hard of hearing children, kind of like learning how to speak, learning how to talk about it. And I think ever since I did that when I was like 10, 11, 12, I was obsessed. I think I really understood that I had something unique about talking about my journey and the way that I talked about it. I was goofy, I was real, I was authentic. I think that that's when I knew that I was proud of my journey because of how I was able to talk about it, how I was able to help other people who may not know about it. What's the word? Like, not feel so afraid of asking questions that they don't know. I helped kind of like loosen their defenses and say, you know what, I don't know anything about it. What can I learn? So I think that kind of awareness, that kind of ability to talk about it helped me be proud of my journey of being deaf. I like to make fun of it. I like to be real. It's serious, but it doesn't have to be serious in the way that we share awareness.
Great. Okay, so I call it self-confidence, actually. And so let's talk about cochlear implant and the possibilities. So in recognition of International Cochlear Implant Day, what would you like people to understand about cochlear implant beyond the technology itself?
Oh, that is a really good question. I'm impressed with Geeta and her questions. Okay, so what I would like people to understand. Most people have this misconception that just because we can speak well, that we can hear. And it is funny how often I come with people who have that misconception. So I think that I would like people to understand that the cochlear implant is a device that supports, that helps, but it's not everything. It is not the main point, it's not the main reason, and it's not the main attraction. The person and the way the person shows up and speaks and communicates is the more important thing. One thing that often bothers me about interacting with people who are learning and don't know about deaf people is how well we can speak, and gives them kind of, I wouldn't say an opportunity, but it does allow them to forget that we're deaf. And while I'm aware that it happens, it's not appropriate for the security and the confidence and the authenticity of that deaf person with that label. Like, I'm deaf. I have a cochlear implant. Yes, I can speak well. Yes, I can lip read and understand you. But don't say that you forgot that I'm deaf. It is a label, and it's a label that should always be remembered, no matter how good we may be. So I think that's the best. That's what I would say.
Great answer. Yeah, okay, so I want to ask another question from you. So Emily, what do you wish families with cochlear implanted children knew early on, in early stages? Like when they have a baby, what they should know?
I love this. I've been waiting for this. Two things. One thing that they should know is sign language. Implement that sign language. implemented because I wish I knew. I'm learning now. And while I'm happy to learn now, I wish I knew way before. So that's one. And the second thing, honor the hearing breaks that child needs. Overstimulation is a thing. And while I was pushed to keep it on, I knew that my relationship changed a lot with my Cochlear, and I disliked it more because of how I didn't feel like I could be myself without it. So that's important. While the Cochlear implant is amazing and incredible, it also is important for that implanted child to know that they can be themselves without it. One thing that I struggled with growing up is that I didn't feel like I could be myself without my cochlear implant. I thought that if I have my hearing on, I'm Emily. When I don't have my hearing on, I'm deaf, but I didn't know that was okay. It is okay. And it should be okay because really at the end of the day, when you take it off, you're still the same person.
Great, thank you. So, okay, I know that you know sign language. So you started it later when you were an adult?
Like, I'm 26 years old now, and I would say that I started learning when I was 22.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great. I didn't know it.
Yeah, and it only happened because I was trying to be involved with my hearing family more and more, and there was more things I was missing, and my husband and I learned sign language to help bridging those gaps. And then the more that went on, the more I realized how much more impacted and how much more understanding I got from having those both languages working together at the same time. I just understood both the speaking and the signing. I just thought it was amazing, and it really helped because there's not so much you can understand with just speaking. And then when you can sign to put in those gaps, it really helps. So I was very grateful. And it's important for families to learn sign language. Whether it's not fluent, as long as it's something little, it goes a long way. Yeah.
Great. It was a great tip for families. Actually, I lived in Iran and I am new to Canada. So in Iran, we don't have sign language for children.
Do you think that's an issue?
It is. And I always encouraged families to learn even some sign language because it's a language.
Yeah.
So the child should not have language deprivation. So it helped her or him, and it's very important. Thank you for bringing this. Okay, so let's go to the art part. So Emily is an artist. Congratulations on your first exhibition. Can you tell us about the experience and what is it meant to you personally?
Oh, well, this exhibition that was showcased in December 9th for like a week. This was out of my university at Akerman. So growing up and knowing my difficulties with education and not having a full grasp of education because of language gaps, I did not feel confident with any of my prospects of what I could do in post-secondary. I wanted to be a nurse, okay? And I wanted to go to the military, and I wanted to go do all of those things, and then to be aware of how much I was missing when I was functioning in my daily life. That was such a big reminder for the last 10 years, since I was 16 years old, of how I cannot be what I want to be because of this gap that is still an issue in this world. It is still lacking. So with this experience of making this artworks, when I went into school, to art school especially, I really realized something about DVA art. So that's that's an art movement that falls under deaf art. Deaf view, deaf art. It's all about colors, motifs, symbolisms, all surrounding deaf art, deaf and hard of hearing, all of it. Anything that's related to deafness, it is through that. And I realized something. There was a lack of artworks that explained more about experiences of having a cochlear implant or hearing aids, being able to speak, being able to hear, but still having a gap in the hearing world, still having a gap in the deaf community. People who have cochlear implant and hearing aids, I find that it's very difficult for them to be integrated into the deaf community. We're kind of like in between both. So when I got into OCAD in the first place, I really wanted to figure out how to illustrate and make those experiences. Because I didn't know any. I didn't see any. I didn't feel like there was a role model out there. So I made it my mission, really, to figure out how to illustrate those experiences in the hopes that people would understand it, to understand what I'm trying to say. What it means to me personally, I feel like I'm angry. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated at the lack of awareness, at the lack of understanding, at the lack of it all. That we still have to fight so much in the system, in the employment industry, in the school industry, everywhere. Even in our homes. Like dinner tables, okay? They're difficult to do. And if there's no one that's willing to work with you, you're alone. So I wanted to illustrate those experiences, and I think that it was just my way of screaming out my frustrations and hoping people would understand and be like, would you help me?
Okay, lovely. So we were in your exhibition with some of deaf young adults from Faranak Foundation, and we all, were like stunned with your artworks. So was there a moment or a piece that was so meaningful to you and like you felt so emotional about it?
There's one piece that's called Cyborg Mobile, Baby Mobile Cyborg. I'm so bad with names. And Baby Mobile Cyborg. Yeah. And basically there's 6 sides to it, and it's the shape of the cochlear implant sculpture. I know you remember that one. And there's like 3 sides of them, 6 sides, 3 of them. And that was an exploration on the different layers of a cochlear implant. There was physical, computer, like technology. So physical, technology, X-ray, spiritual, physical, and mental. And anatomy. That's a hard word sometimes. That one is mostly impactful for me because I wanted to express how the cochlear implant is so integrated with our identity. Without it, we function differently. With it, we function better, so to say. And so I think that was so meaningful for me because that was my second piece that I made, that I really wanted people to kind of go up close to and see the ways that the cochlear impacts a person without really knowing what it is. And I found that so many people were so mesmerized by it and felt that like they didn't realize all the different layers that could be expressed in that cochlear implant. And it means so much to me because of all the ways that cochlear implant can have so many different images, so many different motifs, so many different ways it can exist on its own.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Emily. So, Emily has created a book. Here is her book. And we had an interview with her about her book in her exhibition. So you can go and check that post and watch it. Emily has explained about this. Emily, do you want to just very short talk about this?
By the way, if you go to my profile, I still have like 50 or so more copies for sale, so please go take it. So this was done during my independent study to hearing people, and it is a little scene book of explaining the ways that deaf people exist. And it was kind of like poking fun at the hearing people and saying, hey, like, I know it's not your fault, but, you know, there's some things that you should know in order to support us and kind of be a little less ignorant. And, like, there's a lot of things about this part here that's one of my favorites of how it is a predominantly hearing society. And then I just find that this is so important because I think that there's so many aspects of life that hearing people do that they don't know that deaf people can do. Like, for example, I can't go in a drive-thru. I can't hear the drive-thru. So I actually have to go inside the place and order food. So things like that. I think it's so important because it has like lots of games, a little bit of a little game here and all. Just kind of like showing different ways that deaf people exist. Yeah.
Great. Emily has been a volunteer with Voice for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Children for many years. And I had the honor to work with her for several years. She always helped us with going to the schools and talking about deafness to the children and raising about awareness about deafness and children with hearing loss. So Emily, I know that you always stay confident and motivated. However, I have a question. So, how important is that we have deaf representations of deaf and hard of hearing children in art? So, what's the importance of art for deaf and hard of hearing children and adults?
That's a very important question. First of all, I just want to say that if you ever need someone to host a workshop for deaf and hard of hearing children just to create awareness and empathy, you can always reach out to me. I will always help out. The importance of art for deaf and hard of hearing children and adults. I always like to think of the impact of art therapy. I think about that a lot. That is where my future career is going, and the reason why is sometimes there is so much that can be said, but sometimes there is an inability to say all those things. Sometimes art can really say everything that we can't put into words. When I make art, I always think about the way I'm feeling. Sometimes the way that we feel we can't really comprehend into words. Sometimes it is easier to put them into images and then make it into words. The importance of it is expansive. It's, I knew that everything that I was trying to say for the longest time, I could not. And then once I put it into words, there was like a big idea that I was like, aha, that's it. And like even with this one too, Dear Hearing People, I didn't even know that that's what I wanted it to be called until I read it, until I made the ears and everything. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's the manifesto. So I think that if we don't know how to explain to other people what's going on with our deafness, with our identity, make it, and then you'll find that the answers are right there.
Great. Okay, Emily, if a child or a young deaf adult is now listening to you and watching this interview, what would you like to tell them to be inspired?
Oh, well, okay. First of all, you're different, okay? That's the first thing I want to tell you. You're different. But being different is actually the best thing you could be. Because so many people will learn from you. Because of the way that you might need a little bit of help with conversations, the way that you might need a little bit of a different pace, when you need them to repeat. I just wish that someone told me that it was okay for me to be different, that it was okay for me to say that I am deaf and I have a disability. If I had known earlier on that that was something to be proud of and honor, my journey of advocating for myself would have been maybe a lot more seamless earlier on. one thing I will tell you is that there is a lot of trial and error. And there is also a lot of people who love you that will help you. If there are people who don't want to help you, they're the ones that don't matter. That's what I had to learn in a hard way. You're already beautiful. You're already yourself. You already exist. You already do wonderful things. So don't let anyone tell you that you need to be someone else other than yourself.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you. So this was our interview with Emily. We have a series of interviews with inspiring people like Emily. I would like to add that we will have an art exhibition in March 25th, and still we are receiving many beautiful artworks from children. So just send us more and more artworks. We are waiting for your children. And all the children, deaf, hard of hearing, or hearing, can send us their artworks. Just check our Instagram, Faranak Exhibition, and our website, faranakfoundation.com, and see the link for submission and the themes of the art exhibition, and send us your art works. We will see you in March 25th in North York Central Library in the afternoon. So thank you, Emily. Let's say goodbye to everyone.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.